Hello again, this is L8N. I know it's been a little bit since I did a video, but I actually didn't really think I was going to come back until after the first of the year. But I got to thinking about it, and I go, you know what? Maybe I should do a year in a review. Kind of a end of the year thing. So I've been thinking about it, and I guess the first one I should start off with would be Rashida and her trials and tribulations. And earlier this year, her channel was hacked. And then when she finally gets it back, she comes back in screaming and hollering and on every video where you couldn't really understand her. But then she went back into her usual, her usual self. And she's now calmed down enough to where she's even opening up her StreamYards to even talk to her. Even though that she's still saying the same thing over and over and over. And then her becoming a fruitarian. And I find it really hard to take it and watch somebody try and talk and eat at the same time. I find that quite disgusting, to be honest with you. So, but even with that, it gets old, listening to the same rhetoric. And somebody always taking and trying to point out the racism against, dark people or the really black. And I find that really stupid when she goes out of her way to take a little situation and blow it completely out of proportion. And and she's been doing that now for all of her life. And it just becomes old. But moving on, then we have Jassy. The beginning of the year, Jassy and Buddy and puooooty, they were all, well, not so much Buddy, but Jassy and ZX going at each other. And Jassy's a lot of things, but she still didn't deserve a lot of the stuff that she gotten. And that's just my opinion. But on the same token, she's the one that took it and brought all the stuff onto herself. And it's all over YouTube. YouTube can be a really great thing. But there's a time and place for it. And YouTube is it's an interactive reality show more than it is a lot of things if you allow it to become that way. And to me, that's what Jassy's life has become, is that YouTube is a reality show to her in life, and that she has to be front and center of it. and she lost. You know, because I can remember a time, you know, let's just say a year ago, where she was getting a couple hundred people go to her shows or her channel. And now, you know, she's only getting 60, 70 people. So, and then we got puooooty. You know, puooooty there comes in at the beginning of the year going at Jassy. And even calls CPS on her. And then goes and talks about a little girl's chest that you really got to slow down and damn near go frame by frame to even see the child and think that's okay. To me, that's some real, you know, there was some discussion in my chat about, you know, because I called him a hebephile, and they said, no, he's a pedophile. But I think girls at that age, you know, are starting to have their periods and stuff, and which brings it up to a hebephile. But regardless, he still shouldn't have been looking at a child's breast. And it's not his responsibility to point that out to her. That's the parent's job to figure that out. So, and then as the year goes on, now he don't like anybody talking about children, even though that he's the one that has talked about children. And it wasn't just Jassy's children that he's talked about either. He talked about some others. But now he's a great I can't think of the word at this particular time, crusader for children. And for women. And he's the one that goes at them. And for most of the part, for dumb reasons. And he's also the one that said, you know, we need to be a real man defends disabled people and people with learning disabled. But everyone that he's encountered that's either disabled, like me, and threatening them, or like Miss Hicks, that has a learning disability, or even blessed. Always. That has, you know, a disability and has tried to commit suicide. You know, for somebody to take in and want to be the champion of that stuff while going at people with those problems. Now, I myself don't really give a shit. He can come at me and threaten me all he wants to. but he's supposed to be a real man. And real men aren't supposed to do that. You know, a real man's supposed to be a protector. And I don't think he could protect a ham sandwich. But anyway, moving on, then we come to Buddy Lee. You know, Buddy Lee got cut up into a lot of bullshit. And he allowed that stuff to happen to himself. And I consider Buddy Lee to be really funny. And I find him to be highly intelligent enough to take it in. To me, he should have seen that coming. But even with that being said, you know, Buddy Lee come out of it, you know, a little burnt around the edges, but he came out of it nonetheless. And he's doing really good, and I like Buddy Lee. I like Buddy Lee a lot. And like I said, you know, I find him to be, you know, highly funny, and I find him to be highly, you know, intelligent. And I think he's doing really good, and I think he has a lot of potential to do a lot of things, and has done a lot of things. And I really commend him on that. I really do. And then we have Ladyla. Now, I just find her to be entertaining. Very entertaining. And, you know, I don't always agree with some of the things that she's done. You know, I don't particularly care about people putting out other people's stuff that you talk about behind the scenes. But other than that, I think, like I said, I think she's highly entertaining. And, you know, and I remember her over at the Soto Nation and all that stuff. And going through all the stuff with, you know, TS. But I think she's learned a lot, and she's grown a lot too. And knowing when to say something and when not to say something makes a big difference too in how one defends themselves. Even when Jassy tried to pull up on her and stayed across the street, I think, you know, Ladyla took it and handled that situation very, very well. And I think Jassy handled that stuff way... Again, she takes YouTube to a whole new level. So, but anyway, go subscribe to her and subscribe to Buddy Lee. And I know that not everyone in my comment section knows about them. So you really should go check them out and subscribe to them. Then I'm going to throw in Tyree, the cracker racist, the one that wannabe gangster. wannabe gangster and financial wizard and genius that has to live with somebody to pay his bills and claim to be a gazillionaire and own all this stuff and all these vehicles while walking back and forth to work, having no driver's license, saying, oh, I'm getting them back, and all that happy horse shit stuff that he wants to always go and brag about, that he can show no proof of. And when he does try to show proof of, it's all doctored up. And I want to give a big shout out to the Dr. Computer Shop about staying on top of his head. And even with the Rashida thing, Dr. Computer Shop is always winning. And way more intelligent than Tyree is. Because Tyree is just an idiot. And like I said, wannabe gangster and financial advisor that I don't trust. If he said the sky was blue, I would have to go out and double check and maybe even triple check to make sure that the sky was blue. And as far as his, I can fight, stand my ground, and beat you, and all this other bullshit, he's a dumbass. And let's move on now to our main topic, too. And that's Tyra. What's there to really say about Tyra that we don't already know? He's our favorite enemy that we love to make fun of. And find entertaining sometimes. Even though that, even after I've talked to him this year, and the first time, I thought it went fairly well, but the second time he brought me up and then dropped me down and then blocked me without saying anything. And now he won't even talk to me. As soon as he sees my name, he just blocks me. But Tyra, I thought we were buddies. I wish no ill will towards you. But, I guess it is what it is. So, and with that said, then we move on to SHIDDYGREG and SHIDDYGANG. And, big shout out to SHIDDYGREG and the gang. SHIDDYGREG wishes no harm or anything against Tyra, even though that Tyra thinks that, Greg is doxing him and calling the police on him, which Greg actually doesn't like because it cuts into his cash flow. So it would be dumb for anything to happen to Tyra. So, but SHIDDYGREG also has does other things too, like investments and how to do that. And then he tried the monetization, which, you know, I was happy to see him do, but I was also cautious about it too. And he, as soon as he lost his monetization and all of his money that people were giving to him for it, he went on and built his own website. And everybody, go over there and subscribe to it. I highly recommend it. He brings in other things to it and does other deals like boxing and other programs. And he even talks about, you know, the financial investments on the current way of investing. So, anyway, big shout out to SHIDDYGREG and the gang. And he's another one that everybody should be subscribed to. And then I'm going to throw in, and if you want any merchandise, t-shirts and stuff like that, hit the mayor up for any t-shirts, hats, and stuff. And even if you want personalized sayings on your shirts and stuff, hit up the mayor of Detroit. And then last but not least, what about James L8N and his future in the upcoming year of 2022? And to be honest, or like everybody wants to, you know, keep saying, you know, keep it a buck or keep it 100, I'm not sure. Because there's times that I can really get into, you know, giving my opinions about people and stuff. And then there's other times that I just think, you know, why? Is anybody really listening and stuff? And I know there are. You know, and I never come on YouTube to have a big following. I really didn't. In fact, I'm really surprised. Of the following that I do have. And I appreciate every one of you. I really do. And I think that in the year to come, you know, because my favorite saying is that may this new year be a damn sight better than the old one. But when it comes down to it, it's not really the year's fault. It's what people make of it and what each individual makes of the year. It can be a good year or it could be a bad year. You know, it could be a good year for our country or it could be a bad year for our country. But I always hope for the good. And I press for the good.